Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed how uncomfortable the world becomes when someone truly, deeply cares? Not the superficial caring that expects applause or reciprocation, but the kind that sets fire to the falsehoods we cling to. Real caring disrupts. It challenges. It does not seek permission to exist. Caring disrupts comfort zones because it forces a shift in perspective. When someone deeply cares, they bring an energy that challenges the status quo. This energy is unsettling to those who prefer to remain in familiar patterns, even if those patterns are stagnant or unfulfilling. To care is to be awake, to see what others might avoid, and to act in ways that ripple outward, creating change that some may not be ready to face. Caring, by its nature, is transformative, and transformation is rarely comfortable. People construct comfort zones to feel safe. These zones are built on routines, habits, and often a level of detachment that shields them from discomfort. When someone starts to care, they break through these protective barriers. They see what's overlooked, question what's accepted, and illuminate what's hidden. This light, however well-intentioned, can feel harsh to those who have adjusted their eyes to the dark. It's not that these individuals dislike caring in itself, but that the act of caring introduces vulnerability, uncertainty, and the potential for change things most people instinctively resist. Caring has a way of creating contrasts. When one person cares deeply, it can expose the indifference or apathy of others. This exposure is not always welcome. Imagine a workplace where most employees are coasting, doing the bare minimum to get by. When one individual steps in with passion and dedication, it can make the rest of the team uncomfortable. Their caring becomes a mirror, reflecting the complacency of others. The response is often defensiveness or dismissal. People might downplay the importance of the issue at hand, mock the one who cares, or attempt to undermine their efforts. This isn't because the cause is unworthy, but because caring threatens the delicate equilibrium of the comfort zone. Deep caring also disrupts because it asks questions. It challenges assumptions and refuses to accept this is just the way things are as an answer. It pushes for better, not for the sake of rebellion, but because it recognizes the potential for growth and improvement. Yet this push for progress can feel like a personal affront to those invested in maintaining the current state of things. They may interpret it as a critique of their choices or an attempt to dismantle the systems they've grown used to. As a result, they resist, often pleading either explicitly or through their behavior for the caring to stop. This resistance is rooted in fear. To care deeply means being willing to confront pain, injustice, or imperfection. It requires vulnerability in the acknowledgement that things could and should be different. Many people avoid this because it opens the door to uncertainty. The comfort zone, for all its limitations, feels predictable and safe. Caring disrupts this illusion of safety. It says there is more to be done, more to be felt, and more to be changed. And while this can be inspiring to some, it can feel threatening to others. The discomfort is not a rejection of the individual who cares, but a reaction to the challenges their caring represents. When someone truly cares, it often reflects the apathy of others in a way that is both illuminating and uncomfortable. This reflection is not intentional, but it happens naturally, like light exposing shadows. Apathy thrives in the absence of passion, energy, or purpose. It becomes a comfortable retreat for those who avoid the complexities of feeling deeply or engaging meaningfully. When one person demonstrates authentic care, it contrasts sharply with this indifference, making the lack of involvement or concern in others more apparent. This reflection can be disarming because it holds up a metaphorical mirror. For individuals who have grown accustomed to a state of detachment, seeing someone else pour their energy into a cause or relationship can evoke an array of conflicting emotions. It may inspire guilt for not doing more, resentment for being confronted with a standard they are unwilling to meet, or even confusion about why such intense emotion is necessary. Apathy often stems from self-protection. Caring deeply is seen as a risk, as it opens the door to disappointment, rejection, or failure. When someone demonstrates that it is possible to care despite these risks, it forces others to question their own avoidance. This dynamic plays out in many areas of life. In a group setting, for instance, the person who goes out of their way to address a problem, advocate for a cause, or help someone in need often disrupts the group's unspoken agreement to remain uninvolved. Their actions can feel like a challenge to the silent rules that maintain the status quo. This is not because they are trying to shame others, but because their caring exposes the gap between what is being done and what could be done. For those entrenched in apathy, this reflection is uncomfortable because it surfaces the truth they have chosen to ignore. At a deeper level, caring highlights a fundamental difference in perspective. Apathy often stems from a belief that effort won't make a difference, or that the stakes aren't worth the investment. When someone cares deeply, they counter this narrative, proving through their actions that engagement and passion can create meaning and spark change. This is a powerful challenge to the worldview of those who prefer to remain disengaged. It's not just a question of effort, it's a confrontation with the deeper fears and beliefs that sustain apathy. The discomfort caused by this reflection can lead to defensiveness. Some may dismiss the person who cares as overly sensitive, naive, or dramatic. This dismissal is often a way of justifying their own inaction. If the one who cares can be discredited, then the apathy of others feels less like a failing and more like a rational choice. But beneath this response lies an internal conflict. The person resisting may recognize on some level that the one who cares is acting in alignment with values they themselves share but have suppressed. This is why the reflection of apathy is so powerful. It doesn't just expose the absence of care, it reminds people of their own capacity to care, buried under layers of fear, avoidance, or cynicism. This reminder can be both a burden and a gift, depending on whether it is met with openness or resistance. The one who cares becomes a catalyst, not by imposing their values on others, but simply by embodying a truth that others have yet to embrace. Resilience in caring is the ability to maintain a steadfast commitment to what matters, even when met with resistance, indifference, or hardship. To care deeply is not an easy path. It requires strength, persistence, and a willingness to endure discomfort for the sake of what is right or meaningful. Caring, by its nature, makes you vulnerable. It opens you up to criticism, disappointment, and the possibility that your efforts may not yield the outcomes you hope for. Resilience is what allows you to continue caring in the face of these challenges, to remain rooted in your values despite the obstacles that arise. When you care about something, you inevitably encounter moments when others do not share your passion or priorities. They may dismiss your efforts, question your motives, or resist the changes you advocate for. This lack of alignment can be disheartening, especially when you feel alone in your journey. Resilience, however, keeps you grounded. It enables you to withstand the disapproval or misunderstanding of others without compromising your dedication. It is not about being unshaken by criticism, but about moving forward with purpose, even when the road ahead is difficult. Resilience in caring also involves a deep sense of self-awareness. To sustain your commitment, you must understand why you care in the first place. This clarity acts as a foundation, helping you navigate the inevitable doubts and setbacks that arise. Without this inner connection to your values and purpose, the weight of external resistance can become overwhelming. But when your care is rooted in something authentic and deeply personal, it becomes a source of strength. It is this strength that allows you to persevere, even when the odds seem stacked against you. Another aspect of resilience in caring is adaptability. Caring does not mean clinging rigidly to a single approach or outcome. Instead, it requires flexibility and the ability to adjust your methods while staying true to your principles. Challenges and failures are inevitable, but they are also opportunities to learn and grow. Resilient caring involves embracing these moments as part of the process, rather than allowing them to diminish your commitment. It is about finding new ways to move forward, even when the path you initially envisioned is no longer viable. Resilience also requires self-compassion. Caring deeply can be exhausting, and the emotional toll can lead to burnout if not managed carefully. To sustain your commitment, you must prioritize your well-being. This means acknowledging your limitations, seeking support when needed, and giving yourself permission to rest and recharge. Resilience is not about endless endurance. It is about pacing yourself so that you can continue to care effectively over the long term. At its core, resilience in caring is a quiet strength. It is not loud or attention-seeking, but steady and unwavering. It allows you to navigate the complexities of caring in an imperfect world, balancing hope with realism and passion with patience. Through resilience, you cultivate the ability to care not because it is easy, but because it is essential to who you are and the change you wish to see. Caring is a natural expression of what it means to be human. It arises effortlessly when we feel connected to something or someone, as if it were an extension of ourselves. There is no need to force it or manufacture it. It flows naturally when we are in touch with our innate sense of empathy and interconnectedness. Caring is not a performance or an obligation. It is an authentic response to recognizing value, beauty, or need in the world around us. At its core, caring stems from a deep recognition that we are not isolated beings, but part of a larger whole. This understanding fosters a sense of responsibility and compassion that transcends personal interest. It is the reason we instinctively comfort a crying child, help a struggling stranger, or tend to a wounded animal. These acts are not calculated. They arise spontaneously from our shared humanity. They remind us that caring is as fundamental to our nature as breathing or seeking shelter. However, modern society often complicates this simple truth. We are taught to measure our actions against external standards, questioning whether they are productive, efficient, or reciprocated. This mindset can stifle our natural inclination to care, making it seem like a burden rather than a joy. Yet, when we strip away these layers of expectation, we find that caring is not about what we gain, but about what we give. It is an expression of our deepest values, a way of affirming what truly matters to us. Caring also reflects the unique ways we perceive and relate to the world. Each person is drawn to different causes, relationships, or ideas shaped by their experiences, passions, and sensitivities. This diversity in caring is what makes it so beautiful. One person may feel a deep connection to the environment, while another dedicates themselves to education or social justice. These differences do not diminish the authenticity of caring, they enrich it, creating a tapestry of compassion that weaves through humanity. When we care, we tap into a wellspring of energy and creativity that fuels our actions. Unlike tasks performed out of obligation or routine, caring brings a sense of purpose and fulfillment. It is the driving force behind acts of kindness, innovation, and perseverance. Caring transforms ordinary moments into meaningful ones, infusing our lives with a sense of connection and significance. It reminds us that we are capable of contributing to something greater than ourselves. Caring as a natural expression also teaches us about vulnerability. To care is to open ourselves to the possibility of loss, disappointment, or rejection. Yet it is precisely this vulnerability that makes caring so powerful. It requires courage and honesty, inviting us to engage with life fully rather than holding back out of fear. Through caring, we embrace the unpredictability of existence, choosing to connect despite the risks involved. This natural inclination to care is not limited to grand gestures or monumental causes. It is found in everyday interactions, the way we listen to a friend, tend to a garden, or nurture our own well-being. These small acts of caring ripple outward, creating a world that feels more alive, compassionate, and interconnected. Caring, in its purest form, is not something we do, it is something we are. It is a reflection of our essence, a quiet yet profound acknowledgement of our shared humanity in the fragile, beautiful world we inhabit. Compassion for resistance begins with understanding that resistance often arises from fear, pain, or a sense of vulnerability. When people resist change, caring, or new perspectives, it is rarely because they lack the capacity to understand or empathize. More often, it is because something within them feels threatened. Compassion involves recognizing this underlying struggle, not as a personal rejection, but as a natural human response to uncertainty and discomfort. Resistance is frequently a form of self-protection. It can stem from past experiences of hurt, betrayal, or failure that have led a person to build walls around themselves. These walls may take the form of apathy, cynicism, or outright opposition. When someone resists your caring or ideas, they are often defending a fragile part of themselves that feels unprepared for the vulnerability that change or connection requires. Compassion allows you to see beyond their outward behavior to the internal conflict driving it. To respond with compassion does not mean condoning or accepting harmful behavior, but rather approaching resistance with patience and understanding. It is about holding space for the other person's fears and doubts while staying true to your own intentions. Compassion creates a bridge between differing perspectives, making it possible to engage with resistance in a way that fosters dialogue and connection, rather than deepening division. By responding with empathy instead of frustration, you open the door to mutual understanding. Compassion for resistance also involves acknowledging that change is difficult for everyone. Even when a new path is clearly beneficial, stepping away from familiar patterns requires courage and trust. Many people resist not because they are unwilling to grow, but because they are afraid of what they might lose in the process. This fear is often unspoken, manifesting instead as skepticism, defensiveness, or avoidance. Recognizing this fear can help you approach resistance with kindness, seeing it as a sign of someone grappling with their own limits rather than a rejection of your efforts. It is important to remember that compassion for resistance extends to yourself as well. When you encounter resistance, it can be tempting to feel frustrated, disheartened, or even defensive. These reactions are natural, but they can make it harder to maintain the empathy and patience that compassion requires. By practicing self-compassion, you allow yourself the grace to process your own emotions while remaining present and engaged with the situation. This balance helps you stay resilient and focused on the bigger picture. Compassion does not seek to overpower or eliminate resistance. Instead, it works to gently dissolve it through understanding. It involves listening without judgment, offering support without imposing, and demonstrating through your actions that care and connection are possible even in the face of opposition. When you approach resistance with compassion, you invite the other person to lower their defenses and explore a new way of seeing or being. This process takes time and effort, but it has the potential to create profound transformation, not by forcing change, but by fostering the safety and trust needed for change to emerge naturally. Caring as freedom might seem paradoxical at first, because caring is often associated with effort, responsibility, and emotional labor. Yet when you look deeper, true caring liberates rather than binds. To care deeply is to transcend the confines of self-interest and step into a larger, more expansive way of being. It frees you from the limitations of apathy, disconnection, and fear by opening your heart and mind to the interconnectedness of all things. Caring liberates because it connects you with a sense of purpose. When you genuinely care about something or someone, your actions are no longer driven by obligation or external pressure. Instead, they arise from an inner alignment with your values and passions. This alignment brings clarity and focus, cutting through the noise of trivial concerns. In caring, you find freedom from the distractions that often cloud life, allowing you to dedicate your energy to what truly matters. Caring also frees you from the fear of vulnerability. To care deeply is to open yourself up to risks, the risk of failure, rejection, or loss. But in doing so, you also free yourself from the paralyzing grip of these fears. Caring reminds you that the richness of life lies not in avoiding pain, but in engaging with it meaningfully. It teaches you that vulnerability is not weakness, but a gateway to authentic connection and growth. Through caring, you embrace the fullness of life, with all its joys and sorrows, rather than retreating into a shell of self-protection. Another way that caring brings freedom is by breaking down the illusion of separation. Apathy and indifference often stem from a belief that we are isolated individuals, responsible only for our own well-being. Caring dissolves this illusion by revealing the profound interconnectedness of all life. When you care, you recognize that your well-being is tied to the well-being of others, that the world's struggles are your struggles too. This recognition is not a burden, but a liberation, as it expands your sense of identity and purpose beyond the narrow confines of the self. Caring also liberates you from passivity. It moves you to action, to engagement, and to participation in the world around you. In this sense, caring is an antidote to the helplessness and despair that can arise in the face of overwhelming challenges. It reminds you that while you may not be able to change everything, you can always do something. This empowerment is a form of freedom, as it replaces resignation with agency and hope. At its essence, caring is an expression of freedom, because it is a choice. No one can force you to care, it must come from within. This choice affirms your autonomy and your humanity. It is a declaration that you will not be numbed by indifference or paralyzed by fear, but will instead engage with life fully and passionately. Through caring, you free yourself to live authentically, to love deeply, and to leave a meaningful mark on the world around you.